Is there anything that you can say about what you are doing at the moment?
I'm not allowed. I'm so not allowed. But like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, I want to tell everyone, but I can't. I can't at the moment.
I've got theories, and I can't wait for them to be true.
Can't confirm or deny. Can't confirm or deny.
Yes, I think it might be my favourite show.
Fingers crossed.
How about that one?
Let's hope you don't hate it. Let's hope you don't hate it for sure. Then you're like, I love you, Gracie, but I will not be watching. I will not be watching your show. I'll be like,
No, I think I've already probably got a reminder set for that show. So.
Maybe, fingers crossed. I do as well. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens.
But honestly, I'm so excited to talk to you because like we've been trying to kind of catch up since before Wicked came out, and then Wicked
Yeah.
came out, and I wanted to just sit down and just talk to you about Wicked.
Yeah, let's chat about Wicked, my favorite thing ever.
As a disabled actress who has been on the West End, and I know we've already spoken about Wicked a little bit. Like, what did you think of Wicked?
I loved it. I thought it was really good and it was so nostalgic. I mean, I've loved Wicked for a long time anyway. I've been a big fan of it. It was kind of the show that got me into musicals in general. I think it was the first show I ever saw on the West End when I was about maybe 7 or 8. My mum took me. It's like for my birthday, I think. But it was like the best thing ever. And naturally, immediately after doing that, I was listening to the cast recording in the car every day for maybe the end of time. Like I still do that to this day.
Me too.
So I loved it. It obviously made a big impression on me. And this film did not disappoint, let me tell you. Like I'm delighted with it. I was worried that they might ruin it, but they didn't. It was
Yeah, I was so nervous
I was like,
before.
what if it's bad? Like I feel like we've been in a bit of a rut with musical movies recently. They just haven't hit the way I hope they do. My musical theatre heart and soul. I loved all of those old-timey movie musicals. I just felt like I don't know, in the last maybe 10 years, and there has been some exceptions to the rule. Like I thought the In the Heights film, I don't know if you saw that. I thought that was amazing. I don't know if you got to see it.
No, no, I haven't. I'll have to
Can
check it out.
recommend that. It was very, very, very good. I just I struggle with films where it feels like the sound quality of speaking and then they start singing and it's like goes immediately into like really like over produced singing and I'm like, that's not real. Like it's not real. But no, this wasn't like it for me. I think maybe because it was just so whimsical. It was just so like beautiful and colourful. But yeah, it was gorgeous, and I thought our leading ladies did a fantastic job. It was really good.
Yeah, yeah, really good. Yeah, I'm very similar as well because I think Wicked. I saw Les Mis first, and then it was Wicked. And when I saw Wicked on the West End, honestly, like I've seen it 10 times now.
Oh my God! Actual
I've got the
proper real
jumper,
fan.
everything. Like I've got OG merch, the whole lot, like
Oh my
programs.
God, I'm obsessed with that.
And it's funny because I didn't realize at the time, because I don't think I had the language for it, like why it resonated with me. Like talking about kind of being the outsider, being physically, like visibly different, what
Mm,
that means. Like I didn't realize why I had that affinity and why I was so obsessed until later. And then watching the film and then hearing the public talk about all the different ways that it resonates for them because of that, I found
yeah,
really interesting.
really touching for sure. Who did you want to be out of Glinda and Elphaba, or any of the characters?
Alphaba, for sure. I mean, Glinda the Pink is my vibe, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to be
no, for
Alphaba.
sure. Yeah.
How about
Yeah,
you?
it is about her. Well, I always wanted to be Glinda growing up, and I do get that, but I had a very humbling conversation with my boyfriend recently where he was like, You're Elphaba. And I was like, really? And he was like, I was like, yeah, you'll catch me singing popular, you'll catch me doing all the, the Glindery stuff, the Glindery comedy. But he was like, no, one day you'll hopefully be in for Elphaba. I was like, fingers crossed. I'd love to be seen for Elphaba.
I'll be front
One
row.
day,
I'll be there.
one day, yes. You know what? It would be such a mega slay, wouldn't it?
I can't
Um,
imagine.
First disabled alphabet. That'd be good. Manifest,
Yes,
manifest.
I'll throw it out there with you.
Just put it in the universe. Put some gorgeous, like white light, beautiful energy around it. Uh,
So
the likelihood of that happening.
I was talking, funnily enough, today to my last check about it, and I was saying about theatre and like how up until very recently, disabled roles weren't written in, or disabled characters weren't written into
Mm,
the West End, into theatre, into movies, into stories. And I was like, that's why I actually used Alphaba as an example. And I was like, you wouldn't see a one-armed Alphaba
mm,
because it's not in the story. It's a storyline that her sister is a wheelchair user,
hmm
but it's like it's not written in
I
as
think
like
that's
Alphaba.
the
That's
a
wrong.
very interesting thing about our joint particular disability because it's this weird like middle ground where I knew when I was a kid like I didn't realize I was disabled. I had no idea because you just adapt things, but because nobody around me was using the word disabled, I never that wasn't a word that connected with me. Actually, interestingly, I've seen that come back into the roles I've played a lot in and around the West End and in theatre. I've had the opportunity to play roles that are actively disabled and roles that are not actively disabled. And it's interesting because if I'm in it, it's all automatically going to be a disabled role. But I think I've definitely had that weird kind of middle ground privilege where I've been able to be seen for stuff where my other disabled counterparts who are maybe more physically disabled, who just basically just have things that are maybe a bigger deal. I use in air quotes because obviously we know that that's not a thing, but the way I guess casting people or producers who don't know anything about disability might view as a bigger issue. I've maybe had privileges as a passing as a non-disabled person in or a pre-disabled person, as
Mm,
many as my favorite
I love that.
people love to use that term,
Yes.
and I like it too.
Yeah. Everyone is pre-disabled, so I
Everyone's
like that.
pre-disabled. Yeah, for
I
sure.
love
They are. I love it, honestly. It's so badass when I hear that, when I hear people say it. I'm like, that is actually so badass of you. Like, way to humble every single person.
yeah,
I love it. I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, get it. I'm like, oh,
The first time I heard it, I was like, wow, yeah, like it blew my mind. Like, yes, anyone can be. I knew that anyone could become disabled at any point, but then labeling everyone as pre-disabled, I was like, oh, I like it a lot.
yeah. We were. I did a musical called The Little Big Things. I don't know if you caught it, but it was now over a year ago. Over a year ago, kind of 2 years ago now, really, a year and a half. But we did that on the West End, and that was a majority disabled cast, which is actually a really huge slay. I don't think we really realised how cool and groundbreaking that was at the time. We were just sort of riding the wave. But it was probably like half pre-disabled and half disabled. But we had a lot of disabled creatives in and around the theatre as well, who you wouldn't be able to see on stage. But our associate director gave a very, very cool speech on the first day of rehearsals. Essentially, just being like, here's the language you use, here's the language you don't use. Let's not be afraid of getting into this stuff. And also, you're all pre disabled anyway, so this is not irrelevant information. Listen up, because this could be you. And I was like, yeah, you know, I don't know what the stat is now. I feel like it's like 1 in 4. Is it 1 in 4 people have a disability of some sort?
The last stat I saw was like, but that was like worldwide, was like 1 in 8. But I feel like we need like a little fact check.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it is, guys. Like,
Yeah,
don't hold me accountable for what the fact is. But it's a lot of people. A lot of people are disabled and becoming disabled all the time. So never think that it doesn't apply to you, is the headline.
yeah. And like, how did you find the journey? Like another personal reason I wanted to kind of chat to you and be able to share your journey is when I was, well, the whole way through my schooling, I did drama Loved it. I was in a few operas, like I did some performances,
Oh, an
like
opera.
group,
Hey.
all that stuff. I don't know if I've still got it in me, but it got to, I was doing my GCSE drama, and I don't know, so there was just this girl that was on the outskirts of my friendship group who just turned around and made like a off the cuff comment of like, well, you're never gonna be an actress because you've got one arm. Like no one's going to want you to be a part of anything.
Woof.
And like unfortunately, at the time I took that on board completely because it was something in the
Mm,
back of my head anyway that I was scared of, and I stopped everything. And that was it. And I
oh,
wish I'd
that's
had,
so sad. I mean, I don't blame you for that because I definitely heard similar things. And also, it's so hard because my GCSE drama, fun fact, was my worst grade out of all my grades at school. Like, it was my worst GCSE. I got my lowest mark out of everything, including maths. And I'm awful at maths. Like, I'm so bad at maths. It's not a skill of mine that I possess at all. And it's hilarious that I'm an actor now. Like, it's actually just one of those hilarious things. But yeah, it's actually so funny that I'm an actor now. But it took a lot of personal growth. And it's kind of an accident that I had to continue with it. I had a bit of a sink or swim kind of moment where I was doing my GCSE drama. It didn't go super well. I wasn't having a brilliant time, to be honest. But I wanted to take it for A level to almost like do over my bad grade. And my school wasn't running it. My school wasn't running drama. And I was like, oh, that's a real shame. And my drama teacher was like, Gracie, you've got to pursue this in some way because it obviously connects with you so much. So I ended up going to the Brit School, specializing in that, um, which was interesting because it meant that I really did have to get all on board with it. Because to this day, like my A levels don't seem like real A levels. I've got like singing, acting, and dance. Like people would just laugh at that if I wasn't doing what I'm doing. But I definitely had to get on board, and it makes me very frustrated to hear that that's what happened to you because it's so wrong. And also, we're so fundamentally now, I can feel we're at the front of change and we're at the forefront of change about the people we see in media, on screen, on the stage. It's changing, but it is new. It's a really new thing that it's changing, and it's changing so slowly. I can't believe it. It's so slow, but any change is positive. So I'll take what I can get.
baby steps. Well, yeah,
Baby
like when
steps.
I when I saw the production that you mentioned, yeah, like a year and a half
Hmm.
ago, I didn't get to come and see you, which I was really sad about. I really tried, but I was watching
Oh,
it on Instagram, and I felt like that was such a huge shift. Like
mm,
being able to see so much representation, and like you said, disabled creatives being in the background as well, I think
mm.
is very, very like new.
There's so many hidden disabled people around. Like it's actually, we had loads of disabled creatives in and around the theatre, which was super great. Our choreographer team were both deaf, which is like so cool. It's like the most cool way of working, essentially, with just like beats and vibrations and like getting really creative with words and terminology and lyrics, really letting the language and lyrics inspire the movement, which I've never worked like that before. So cool. We had interpreters in the room the whole time. It was amazing. It was unlike any other creative process I've ever made. But even our like big producer, Michael Harrison, like he's got an arm like us.
No way.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
awesome.
I
Yeah.
never I never knew. He's like one of the biggest and most popular producers in musical theatre. He's known by everybody. I mean, he's like a god, this man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I met him and I was like, oh my gosh, he's got a prosthetic arm on.
No
Who
way.
knew? Like, who knew? Not me. I don't know how comfortable he is with being part of the club, so I don't mean to call him out, but I really did feel like I had an ally on that side of the table. I was like, wow, yeah, you're the guy. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was like, you're the guy, and you're making this happen. It's a supply chain, I suppose, trickles down to create that kind of thing. But knowing that sort of on stage we had those people, but it wasn't like a performative thing. I think is the headline. Is it wasn't like, oh, we'll cast some disabled people, and then on the flip side of the camera, so to speak, is all non-disabled creatives telling us to what to say and do.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's authentic on and off stage. It's not just for show.
Yeah, which was great, and I think it created a special energy and quality. I think we were sad not to win Best New Musical. The amazing Operation Mincemeat won it, which I also love. I think it's an amazing show. So, and they've also been absolutely they've been working on that show for years and years and years. It would have maybe been a bit unfair for us to swan in and win at the last minute.
Drop.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was like nobody even knew that this show was happening, me included, until it was on, essentially.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was. I mean, they'd been workshopping it and sort of rehearsing it for a long time. But for reference, like I found out that would be joining them on day one of rehearsals a week before I started,
Wow.
which is a tight turnaround. I mean, I'd had it was great actually. Sort of side note, but I really wanted to be part of it. I heard like tinkerings about that there was going to be this cool new musical with disabled people in it happening in the West End, and I was like, I want to be part of it. And I was actually doing another play at the time. I was in The Crucible. That was the play I was doing on the West End down the road. And I was like, I want to be in it. But it was actually a crossover completely. Like I would have had to be on stage in two theatres at the same time if I were to do it. But my amazing agents and the two directors and the producing teams from both sides really, really made that happen for me. So I could leave the final week of Crucible and start on stage in the Little Big Things. It's actually crazy how that happened. I never even went in for an audition. I wasn't free. I sent them a video of myself singing. And I was like, please give me the job. I want to do it. I want to do it so bad. And I know I'm illegal and I'm not free. I'm not free
I'm
at all.
illegal.
I'm in another play, but I really want to do it. And please make it work. And they, for some reason, gave me the job.
Give them tickets for Crucible. Just go, come watch me.
Yeah.
That's a good audition, right?
It was nice. The director, Lindsay Turner of The Crucible, was like, it's obviously a very important show. It's not like me leaving the show to do like a cast change or a really long running production where it's almost like because it wasn't just a boost for me in my career, although it was also a boost for the community in that kind of way. It was important that I was in it and not just a able-bodied person because they weren't just auditioning disabled people for my role. They were auditioning all kinds of people, you know. So it's like I wanted to make sure I was repping the
Yeah.
one-armed community. Behave.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember it must have been yeah when the show started. One of my colleagues stopped me randomly and was like, I just saw a show like yesterday, and the actress had an arm exactly like yours, and told me about you. And I was like, oh yeah, I know Gracie. Like I've been following her on Instagram for ages.
Oh, I love
But I
that.
was
That
so
makes me
excited.
so happy. That makes me so
Yeah.
happy. Because that didn't happen to me growing up. Crumbs. As we know, like this is so new, and it's not all the time. There are humbling truths that I still find. I often don't find myself in auditions that often. They do come up occasionally for long running shows, long running musicals that have already existed for some time. I've been seen by a few, but crucially, never got the job. That might just be because I wasn't the right fit, but I think it's hard for people to see a lot of the time a disabled woman in the image of maybe a role that's never been disabled before. I think it feels like that's a very big change. There are certain musicals and certain producers and long running shows that I've just never been seen for, despite really wanting to, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of those shows are the ones that I loved growing up, I have been in for Wicked. I have been in. I didn't get the job,
Have you?
but I had been in for Wicked before, and that was very fun and very surreal because I was like, oh my god.
Wicked audition, even that bit.
One day, yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's Wicked. Because as I say, like I used to, that show totally was my love, my great love, and still is. But yeah, I'm not sure I was up for Nessa Rose. I'm not sure I was a Nessa Rose. It's the headline. Also, my politics don't really align with that. Hey.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because yeah, it's obviously not represented fairly, and I think we spoke about it
Yeah,
before, didn't we?
I
Yeah,
definitely was
like
on the cusp with that in that I felt good because I was like, I am a disabled person. I have a disability. I feel confident that I'm more disabled than anyone else who'd done it up until this point. This was much before the film came out. But I also was like, I am not a wheelchair user. I cannot pretend to be a wheelchair user. Uh, that would have maybe been more of a big task if I'd actually got the job. I was very excited because the track often in that show is Nessa Rose cover Glinda, which was the big pull for me, the draw, I'd say, was the Glinda stuff. Because Nessa's not as fun, unfortunately. I wish she was.
yeah,
You know what I
I get you.
mean? She's not as fun. And I'm like, I hate to say that because there's so few disabled roles.
Mm,
Canon.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I wish they'd given her like a gorgeous big flowy dress.
it's a big pink fluffy dress that was just
Yeah, I wish they'd given her a nice dress and lots of funny lines. But she's
yeah,
she's quite, straight to the point.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, and like because I know we were talking about it before with the theatre and like the back end of the theatre, how that's not accessible. Because
Mm. Oh yeah.
like I like you want to see like start seeing that representation on on stage, especially when the role is a disabled role.
Yeah.
Then in the background you can't actually access the
It's
stage, right?
crazy. It's crazy to me that uh I haven't checked in a while, but I know the last time I sort of made a flap about it, finding out that backstage at the Apollo Victoria is not accessible made me very sad. I was just like, oh, that is just another reason for someone to argue not casting an authentically disabled person in that role.
Hmm.
And as we know, all disabilities are not the same. So many wheelchair users can walk and can move. The big argument for that show is always, but she has to get up and walk at the end. It's like, you've never met a wheelchair user then. Obviously, there are many wheelchair users that can't walk, but there are so many who can. Like we were in a pinch in a situation where we had so much illness on the Little Big Things, and there's a role where where somebody was off sick and we needed someone to emergency come and play the role, and we had one person in the place that could do it, but she needed to walk, and the person that could do it was a wheelchair user, and but the track needed to walk on and walk off because the way it worked logistically backstage at the theatre, there was like a stairway that entered the the entrance that she was supposed to come into. I don't know if I'm really garbling the way I'm saying this, but it was not an accessible entrance, and we were like, well, she needs to walk. And Elle, who was playing the role, was like, of course I can walk. You joking? Like walk on stage, say the lines, and then walk back off stage again. I can't walk 8 miles, but I can walk about 2 meters. Are you joking? And we were like, yeah, of course. And it's hilarious that even inside our own very woke modern building, we were still having conversations like that without even asking the person, would that be logistically possible for you?
Yeah, just trying to assume it and figure it out.
And we were like, oh, we're all dum dums. Like, of course you can. Are you joking? I've got like, what's wrong with us? We're like, oh, what are we gonna do? Just ask the person who's in the wings ready to go
Yeah,
and be an understudy. So silly. So silly.
yeah,
But she's the prime example of a fantastic actress work, who's in loads of stuff, uh, who could play Nessa Rose tomorrow.
Yeah, they just don't get considered. Yeah, there's so many assumptions, isn't there?
Hmm.
Even just like, yeah, when I was talking earlier, and I was like I could never imagine seeing like I would kill to see a limb different
Hmm.
alphabet or Galinda. Like, I mean, we could both. I can't. I'd need some singing training, but we could double team it.
It's crazy. Yeah, we'll alternate the
Yeah,
the
we switch.
role.
See how we feel. Who's gonna be green? But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like it's
I don't know if you want to be green all the time. It's definitely. I've known some alphabets in my time, and I think the de-greenifying is the possibly the worst bit of the job.
yeah. I can't like. How do they see greenify?
It's just like, can you like, yeah, look, imagine you've had a hard 8 show week at Wicked the Musicale, London, and all your friends are in the pub ready to, de-stress with a beer, and you've got to get on green before you can turn up. You've
I'd
got
probably
green
just
in
go
your
green.
hairline, but incredibly unglamorous. But
So funny.
regardless, I'd still love to do it. Wow. Like
It's a good
one
problem.
day, yeah. One day when my voice is safe enough, it's one of those things where, because it's so challenging and so wonderful, I'm at home, I can sing The Wizard and I and No Good Deed, and I can sing all those numbers relatively easily, but I'm so good. No. But like I can sing those out
I
karaoke.
don't doubt it.
But they are challenging songs that you can do in the space of your own home for definitely someone under 25. In the same way as your frontal lobe isn't formed yet, your voice is not ready to take on that kind of challenge 8 nights a week. Yeah, you don't know where it sits. Yeah, you've got to be careful and gentle with it.
Mhm.
So many of the big roles on the West End, it's why we a lot of the times we see our Elphabas in their 30s, because you need that maturity in order to take on that kind of role. Even though I've been trying to whack out Defying Gravity since I was about 9. Like you have to be sure that you can definitely do it and not
Yeah,
injure
at a
yourself
height.
at a height
At a
on
height.
wires. Yeah,
Yep.
that'd be
Completely.
the
Yeah.
scariest bit, to be honest. I don't know if I'm built to be on wires. It's so specific, these roles. It's like, I don't know what the requirements are for Glinda and Alphabet. I don't actually know if they have any, but there are certain roles even now that it's like must be between the heights of 5'6" and 5'7". It's like, whoa.
Really?
Like this is how, especially with these long running shows, it's the requirements are so like tight. It's why like we've not even seen, like we're re-wearing costumes, we're re-wearing wigs. It's why we've only sort of started seeing POC performers come in the last sort of 5 to 10 years in some of these long running shows. People just went, oh, it's not possible, and it's like it is possible. You just might have to get a new wig.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
It's not that like it's not that hard, but it's the way these things have worked over time, which is why I guess the flip side of it is I find myself in fun, amazing new musicals like The Little Big Things
Mhm.
and Fangirls, which I just did it over the summer at the Oak Hammersmith. And it's like, great, it's a new show. I don't need to be any kind of height. I can be my own height.
You set the
You know,
standard.
you set a standard there. And maybe the person who plays the role after me might have to be my height at 5'3" and have one arm.
I'm too tall. Damn it.
Halfway there, living on a
Well,
prayer.
yeah. Also need to get a sing, but anyway.
No, I'm sure you can. She's been in operas. She's done it all. You've done more operas than I have because I've not done a single opera. But that's very, very cool. But it's amazing you still retain this love of the theatre despite sadly having to give it up.
Yeah, I went and watched Dear Evan Hansen
Uh,
the other day, and honestly, like just being in the environment in the theatre, I feel like a huge amount of empathy for the actors. I can feel the buzz before, and then
yeah.
at the end when they're bowing and stuff, like I can just I'm so excited and happy for them. It's like I lived
Yeah.
through them
I
with
need
it.
to
Like
see
I
it.
love.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, I was very close to doing Dear Evan Hansen. I didn't get the job, which is why I didn't do it.
I'd have
But
seen you.
I did audition very heavily for it, and I love that show.
Mm.
So beautiful, such a beautiful show.
What role was
But
it?
for Zoe,
Ooh,
the amazing Lauren Conroy is doing it at the moment. She's wonderful. She's very, very, very talented. I love her stuff. She was great in Babies. I don't know if you saw that. I'm so
no, I
stagey. I see everything in the
love it.
world. I really do. Like, I'm going to. But also, it is hard. Like, I do end up seeing a lot of shows I didn't book. Not morbidly fascinated, but just like, I just want to support it because over the time you're auditioning, you grow to love these shows and you become obsessed with them and you listen to the cast recording. Like, for example, I'm going to see, oh my gosh, what am I seeing? Percy Jackson, the musical, tonight. That I didn't book, but I love it. Like, I can't wait. Like, can't wait to see all my friends in it. Uh, It'll be lovely. But yeah, I auditioned for it. I didn't get it.
I love it though. I love that you still go and support it rather than being like, oh, like you could be like
Yeah.
sour about it, I guess.
No, I'm not sour about it. Everything happens for a reason. The minute I'm crying about one job, the next time I'm like at the moment I'm doing I can't disclose what I'm filming for, but I'm doing a lovely TV show, which I'm very excited about. It's one of my favorite TV shows, so I'm doing some telly. I'm very excited about it. But if I'd done that, if for some reason I'd got Percy Jackson the musical, I wouldn't be able to do this job. So I'm like, it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
So, so true. Yeah. Is there anything that you can say about what you are doing at the moment? Or no?
I'm
Nothing?
not allowed. I'm so not allowed. But like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, I want to tell everyone, but I can't. I can't at the moment.
I've got theories and I can't wait for them to be true.
Can't confirm or deny. Can't confirm or deny.
Yes. I think it might be my favorite show too.
Fingers crossed.
So. How about that one is
Let's hope you don't hate it. Let's hope you don't hate it for sure. Then you're like, I love you, Gracie, but I will not be watching. I will not be watching your show. I'll be like,
no, I think I've already probably got a reminder set for that show.
maybe. Fingers crossed.
So
I do as well. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens. But
exciting.
I'm
Yeah. I
excited.
like so exciting. And I think the representation on the level in which you're gonna be, like the
I
reach
hope
that's gonna
so.
have
I
is
really hope
like
so.
it's gonna be huge. Because
There's still so much work to be done. Oh my gosh.
yeah. But every it's I find it quite overwhelming, like in the work that I do, like because you see how far there is to go, especially with the world right now. Like
Mm,
like if you can focus on the needle you can move, then like it's way more empowering and it keeps you going. And but the
hmm
needle you're gonna move is gonna be wild because yeah, there's gonna be unfortunately people like me that didn't think they'd see themselves represented in roles on those kind of levels, and they're gonna hopefully brush those kind of comments that I got to the side and still
I
push through
hope so.
because they see you. So I wish that I was the younger one in this conversation and I'd seen you on stage because I definitely would have pushed harder, ignored that
Thank you,
one
sweetheart.
silly girl.
Well, it's never too late if you wanted to give it a whack at some
I
point.
mean, yeah, for our double actor, our Franklin.
Honestly, there's so much space for, well, there's not so much space. I still find it difficult chatting to friends and colleagues graduated at the same time as me, exact same background, everything. But they'll be in auditions like three a week, 3 or 4 auditions a week. So many more opportunities. I might get an audition a month.
Mm.
It's a hard, but my odds of getting them are higher, weirdly, because
Hmm.
if you're willing to see me for an audition, you're halfway there to casting someone who looks like I do because you've already okayed that.
Hmm.
I might not be the right personality for the job, like, or I might not have the skills required, but if you have looked at my headshot, seen that I have one arm, and go, yeah, we'll have her in, like you're already on board. You know, I
Mm.
don't then face discrimination. I probably face so much discrimination that my agents deal with, and they put me forward to every show in the world and get no response and radio silence, and it's like, but I don't have to see that. See no evil.
Yeah, so true.
I only see the things that I get to go in for. But yeah, it makes me so sad because there is such a world of opportunity that is coming up every day at the moment. But being an actor, well, being disabled in general is inherently political at the moment. And, you know, not to deepen the conversation, but the state of the world at the moment is really scary. And we've all just got to push our needles, haven't we, as you say, in that I cannot speak for government about why disabled people are valid in the workplace and why diversity and inclusion is not threatening. You know, I can't I can't do that. That's not my ballpark. But what I can do is sing and dance and be seen, uh, and make people go, "Oh, that's interesting. I've not seen someone like that in the musical before." You know, that's what I can do. And do things like this and chat to you and put some thoughts in the world.
Yeah.
But it's a scary time to sort of be in the public eye, I guess, because you know I'm not as politically educated, I suppose, as I want to be, but everything you say and do matters,
Mm.
and let's not take our words for granted in public platforms because man, it's not looking good.
No, it's not. I was talking to my partner the other day and I was like, this is either the worst or the best time to be starting an inclusion consultancy. It's definitely top of everyone's conversations, or one of the top topics right now. But in what way?
It can only be the best time because as we know, like we have to look after each other because you know the minute they start going for someone else, we're not safe. You know, it's crazy that we're having these conversations in 2025. Yeah, the stuff that's coming out of America at the moment in the political space, like it's so scary, and we have to look after each other because if we don't do it now, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? You
Yeah,
know, and bringing back it to that pre-disabled thing, you're not safe, anybody. If you don't think this matter concerns you, it does. It really does. There are so many ways to lose a limb.
oh yeah. There's so
There's
many.
infinite ways to lose a limb. Like it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
I saw, I don't know if you saw this, but maybe it's just a targeted thing because I'm disabled. But this amazing person, I'm literally blanking on her name right now. I'm following her on Instagram, but she, due to a cancer, I think of the blood, but I might be wrong, has lost her arm. Her arms had to be amputated. She had a funeral for it, and it's so slay. It's like the most unbelievably cool thing I've ever seen. Like all of her friends are in their like goth blacks, and they've literally got this arm, like her actual amputated arm, and they've tucked it into bed and had an actual funeral for it.
I did see that. Yeah. I think very early one morning I opened my phone and saw that. And
And you're like,
I haven't processed
oh,
it until now.
honestly, I saved it and I've thought about it every day. I mean, it's so cool, like it's so unbelievably cool, to be honest. Like how cool, and it's also got so much traction. But also like, yeah, I bet she never thought she was going to be disabled, and here she is.
Holding a funeral for her arm. We
Yeah,
didn't.
you know what I mean? It
We don't.
concerns everyone. It concerns
Yeah.
everyone. You know,
Yeah.
when bless her, she was dealing with her cancer, right? I bet she didn't think that's what it was going to be. Bit of
No.
chemo, bit of radio.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I also love how she's owned it in that way
Yeah,
and
she's
made
so
it
cool.
almost like a celebration.
Honestly, I'm a religious follower of hers now. I think she's great. It's so cool, so cool.
Love that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way you can aestheticize limb loss these days, like honestly. The internet is our oyster.
That's it. To do
Like,
anything.
it's so cool.
But then, kind of going back to your journey as well, how did you find, obviously you went to Brit school,
Hmm.
and then stepping out into the world of auditions, like, because at first did you have an agent to kind of be that barrier for you, or
Mm.
did you have to bear the brunt of people's perceptions, I guess?
I was, I think, looked after in a beautiful, soft way when I was at Brit School. I will talk about that school till the day I die. I think it's the most amazing place, and it breeds the most creative, amazing people. And because it's free, a lot of people don't know that it is a free school.
I didn't.
Yeah, it is. It is a special place because I've never actually experienced actual inclusivity like it. You know, suddenly seeing like I hear a lot of chats in sort of West End rooms being like, we just don't have the POC talent we to fill these roles and properly diversify. I'm like, that is crazy because out of my like, I don't know, year group of 80 people, 40 or 50 of the kids were POC.
Wow.
So it's not like, it doesn't, in terms of how many people there are working on the West End, it feels like such a small number. You know, maybe at drama school there's like one black kid in each year group,
Hmm.
but that's not reflective of how many people actually love theatre and love acting and want to get into it. There's just obviously so many other factors that make it difficult and make it not a safe space, which is very, very sad. But the headline is I was there thriving in and amongst all of these amazing people. Some people different from myself. Oh my gosh, the light. People different from myself. People like me, that loads of neurodiverse people that I'd never worked with before. It was just so broad. And because money wasn't an object, it just meant that anyone who cared enough or was passionate enough and had the talent could just go. And because that was also the beginning of the training, like you didn't have to do like a drama GCSE to go. It wasn't like you had to have a certain amount of training before. It was like, great. Like I'd never danced before I'd gone there. I'd never been to a ballet class because when I was a child, I went to ballet, like most kids do, and I was told by my teacher she won't be able to do the grades because she's got one arm. I can't grade her properly. So my mum, quite rightly, was like, well, I don't want you doing that then
Yeah.
because that's so exclusive. Frustratingly, I love ballet. And I've learned in later life that it's like, of course I can do ballet. You're joking. You just have to like just adapt it, like I do with all things. But I think at the time that was just so frustrating that I'd done like a year of ballet and my friends were able to move up in the class and I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. You should be able to progress with your class.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
no,
I also wasn't able to have any qualifications. I wasn't able to get my grades or whatever in dance. And I was like,
hmm
oh, that's rubbish. But you didn't have to do any of that to go to Brit. So I was looked after so well. And it just never was, it's actually amazing. It was never even a problem. It was more when I auditioned for drama school that I started seeing problems and mysteriously wasn't getting in despite my points being amazing. Sort of questioning about, I had a few conversations with people from different schools. I won't name names at present, but talking about how there's an input to output where drama schools, when they train you, they want you to work in the end. And they didn't think because of my particular look, I would work. And therefore, it'd be almost a waste of space to train me, which is a very distressing reality. I did get into drama school in the end. But to be honest, I was so angry with the system and I was so upset. And luckily, uh, I had a friend's mum who was acting as she was an agent, a friend's mum who was my childhood agent, sort of helping me push me into working because I guess the safety net of people that I built up around me at the time were looking out for me and they didn't share those opinions essentially. And it was only when I realized that actually loads of places in the industry are a lot more forward thinking than drama schools in the system. It's the same thing, really. Anything that's historical is problematic, and anything that is new, like my first job was a pantomime, newly written pantomime at the Lyric Hammersmith, and it was like, yeah, of course you can play. Of course you can play Wishy, which is the role I played. Of course you can play Aladdin's brother. Why wouldn't you be able to play Aladdin's brother? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're totally right. Of course I can play Aladdin's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's acting.
Hmm.
Because it's
Yeah.
acting, and nowhere does it say Aladdin's brother A has to be a boy or B has to have two arms. It's silly. Like what we do in theatre is silly. So it's hilarious that I had such a bad experience at drama school, really, because it's like it's all just like chatting on stage. Surely not.
Yeah. When you boil it down.
And when you boil it down, it's just entertainment.
Yeah, it's meant to be fun or moving.
It's meant to be
Doesn't really.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a harsh sort of when I was auditioning for one particular drama school. One of the requirements is that you had to send in a self-tape of you doing 20 push-ups,
Why?
right? Why?
Were you doing push-ups on stage?
Right. Why? Literally why? And one of my teachers, Nate Campbell is his name. He's a very talented actor and a champion of mine. I love him. I think he's great. Very good teacher. And I run into him all the damn time. I see him everywhere. But he honestly, he just called them up. He called the school up and he was like, why do you think that is appropriate? He essentially just really went for them. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get in. But actually, which is hilarious. Why did I think like that? I was like, oh no, he's going to embarrass me. I was like, oh no, he's going to embarrass me and single me out. And actually, I think he really understood the kind of discrimination that that still happens and is happening all the time. And it's like he did me a real solid there because it also really helped me to see that that isn't normal and I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah. What it looks like to be advocated for or to be able to advocate for yourself. Like if you don't
Yeah.
know,
Honestly,
then
I was squirming in my seat. I went to class the next day. He was like, by the way, I've called up the drama school and I've told them that they're not on, so you should be receiving an email. I was like, God, no, why have you done that? And then I was like, actually, he's really sorted me out there.
yeah. Yes, Nate. I love that.
So yeah, it was a weird journey in, and it is different from my peers. I'm aware of that. Like a lot of my friends didn't, did a classic sort of 3 year degree. I don't have a degree. I'm very sad that I don't have a degree. I'd like to get one day. It might not
Hmm.
be in theatre. It might be in something else. That's on my to-do list for sure. Get a degree. Small thing to do. Small,
That's a few years.
easy
Fine.
thing on the to-do list. Honestly.
So how come they got one and you didn't? Is it just you went a different course?
I didn't end up going. I didn't end up so although I got into drama school, I didn't end up taking my place. Because I was just so angry. I was so angry at the system and I was so angry at how exclusionary it is. Like so expensive drama school as well. I don't know if you know, but it's not just 9 grand. It's not normal uni. It's about 16 to 18 grand
A
a
year.
year. Yeah.
Wow. So that also
Like
explains why diversity kind of drops off there.
drops off at that point. I go from a free school where all things possible to you're having to cough up £100 even to audition. It's just
Wow.
not possible for so many people. Like honestly, like friends, I remember like at 16 years old asking for loans to audition.
Scary.
Like, oh my God, no wonder we've got problems with diversifying in this industry. It's like so impossible to get in.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I didn't know how. I kind of assumed it would be expensive, but not that expensive.
It's so expensive. It's crazy. And all the time funding is getting cut. And, often there are like some scholarships available, but maybe like two a year. Sometimes between, you get like a bursary or whatever, but there's only like five to be had across all the London drama schools. It's like amazing, fabulous.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. So good. I'm so pleased that's yeah, it's hard and I still have a lot of grudges and gripes that I'm working through. Because as we know, like with acting, because a lot of the stuff is yourself on stage and your body and how you look, whether it's a role, a character or not. No matter what I do, no matter what character I play, I will always have one arm on stage. That will never not be my reality. So therefore, when I don't get jobs and I feel like it's because it's the way I look, I take that deep in my soul. It's
Yeah.
horrible. Um, yeah, it's not ideal sometimes, but we're working through it.
It's such a vulnerable position to put yourself in. And like I always get told when I'm doing like talks and things that I'm brave. But the vulnerability it takes to put yourself in a situation where you are getting judged on your body as well as
Mm,
your skills. But I don't know how you feel about the percentage in which is about your body versus your skills. But if
mm,
it's, I don't know. But it's such a vulnerable position to put yourself in repeatedly as well that
yeah,
it must take a toll in some way.
it's definitely got harder over time, I think. Hilariously, like it has got harder, and I will continue to keep working through that. And it is brave, it's brave to do any kind of public speaking, talks. I'm terrible at giving talks. I'm awful at it. I've actually hilariously never met anyone worse at it than me. I find a lot more confidence in my when I lean into my skills, which a lot of the time is singing or acting. I don't feel so safe when it comes to speaking. Oh my gosh, it's so bright all of a sudden. Um,
Sunny.
when it comes to speaking in that kind of way. But yeah, it's it's gotten harder. I think I'll probably find myself in a position where I will not want to be on social media over the next couple of years. I
Okay.
think I'll probably that might help. I think
Hmm.
sometimes, even now, and I know the people who know who I am, a very small pool of people who've maybe seen me on stage in my very short career up till this point. Like, it's not that many people. But I have already such overwhelming love from them. But also, I have random hate comments,
Mm.
which I don't like. I don't like that.
Why?
Yeah,
I don't
literally
get it.
right.
Like, there's so much energy as well that people put out in those comments.
Yeah, I can see myself probably wanting to get rid of that because the minute like a video goes to more than your intended followers, like during the show I did over the summer in Fangirls, the musical, they posted a video of me doing this like riff where the purpose of the riff was to like essentially steal the mic, steal loads of attention, riff the
I love.
house down.
I
That's
mean,
the
that was good.
that was the objective of the riff. So I did just that. But all of a sudden, like I had this video did amazingly well, it got like 600,000 views or something. And suddenly I was getting all this hate being like, oh, this girl's doing too much. Like like so many jokes, so many ableist comments. And I was like, this isn't worth it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted
Hmm.
to I wanted to act in a safe space,
Yeah. Yeah.
not have to justify being disabled to random men on the internet.
100%.
So maybe that's my future is putting Instagram on an iPad or deleting it altogether.
Yeah. We'll get someone else to look at it. Hand over the wheel.
Maybe manifest that one day I'll have enough cash money to not have to do my own PR. Put it in the universe, put it in the universe.
I'm going to do a petition. We need Gracie for Alphabet or Glinda. I don't know which
Yeah,
one
or
you prefer.
Glinda. It's hard to say. Ideally both. Split it down the middle.
So you do both. You could get like one of those costumes where you do like half pink,
Yeah.
half green.
You know what? I kind of love that. That would be kind of the best. Maybe I'll do a concert one day where I sing the whole soundtrack of Wicked as all the characters.
On there. I would do that.
I've got all my one-armed pallies in the front row, like anything's possible, even this somehow.
You could be two of the biggest characters on stage at the same time.
I don't think I'd want to be Nessa Rose though. I'd get an actual wheelchair user to come on and be Nessa Rose. Bless. Petition for cooler wheelchair user characters because
So,
Nessa Rose isn't it. Although Marissa's amazing portrayal in the film was beautiful. Filled me with so much disabled pride. I was like, "Oh, she's
yeah.
cleaning up." I was very protective of her online when people were they're like meme, they're like me and Bach meme. I
But
don't know if
yeah.
you saw that everywhere. I'm like, maybe that is funny, but I actually don't know if it is that funny. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't want to call ableism where there's no ableism because I don't think there is. But I just was like, of all the things to make fun of in the film, I feel like the
Why
way
not?
she says Bach is not like it's not it. But hey,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, it did feel like a bit of a shot because they couldn't shoot at the obvious thing, like the disability side of things. It was like, we'll pick on something else. It's kind of
yeah, yeah.
a
It
bit
was
of the
an
vibe.
odd one because like to be honest, I advocate for disabled rights and disabled wrongs in that it's like yeah, pick on everybody because they're the same, kill us all with fire. But and I was glad that people weren't like making fun of her for being disabled, but it did seem, in my opinion, that there was a bit too much heat on the way she said bot for you know what I mean? I was just like,
Agreed.
oh, I don't
Yeah.
know if that's right, but hey.
Yeah. Very strange. So before we say goodbye, I could literally talk to you for hours, I swear. When I need you to
Oh, you
promise
do.
me when you've done your top secret job and I get a notification, I get reminded about a certain thing, um, that you'll come back on and we'll be able to talk about everything because I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
I'd love to. I love it. It's great. Like it's very fun, and I feel like I've been given the task to put my disability on a big platform, and I'm very excited to see it through. And I have no idea how much will get cut. They might think I'm a shocking actor at the end of the day. But hopefully, if people see me being sassy on the telly, it will inspire at least one-armed young person to get into acting.
I'm certain it will. And what would you say to someone who is thinking about it, but obviously worried about all the barriers that come with it?
Yeah, just do it, I think, in that I actually have found, especially acting, to hilariously, despite all the things I've said, be such a uh, diverse place with very minimal barriers. Because at the end of the day, when it's you on stage, you can do what you like. You don't need to do things you're bad at. You don't need to, if you can't do that dance move, brilliant, don't do it. Just adapt it. That it's actually a very unifying and it's great. I think acting is great. And there's so many opportunities in it for disabled people. I find it much easier to be an actor than I do to try and get like a pub job. I work. I've worked front of house in the service industry. I still work there. I don't disclose where I work because I love it and it's my secret hustle. But I've sent so many CVs out to regular companies and have been hit with no or not even a response.
Hmm.
So many companies that even have disabled accessibility plans where it's like, if you're disabled, you're automatically going to get an interview. Never have I heard back.
Really?
Yeah,
That's terrible.
it's terrible. And it's like, hilariously, I've had more success acting than I have trying to apply for a job at Morrison's. And it's like, you may as well dream big because at the end of the day, you just have to hedge your bets. You know, don't diminish yourself because you think you're not worth it. Because at the end of the day, there's so much traction and movement at the moment. You know, to a 10-year-old who loves acting right now, like I hope and cannot imagine where the world will be in 10 years when it could be so like there could be so many one-armed actors about. People are tired of them. I
Yeah,
don't think I'll be tired of seeing disabled actors in and
we won't
around.
be.
But but you know, there's been so much more. From when I was a child, and that one-armed I forget her name, CBB's presenter.
Yeah, Kerry?
Yeah, her. She was
Yes, yeah,
amazing. And I remember watching
yeah.
her as a child, feeling so inspired by her. And she got so much backlash. Oh my God. I remember feeling so like I was like 4 and I was so upset. I was like, I don't understand. Like, why are people saying that their kids are having nightmares? Because I'm a child and I'm not having nightmares.
Yeah,
And I can,
honestly,
as a spokesperson for all children, I'm not having a nightmare. So what? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it makes me feel old because I was probably about 12 when that happened. But it really got to me, actually. It was one of the big things that happened. It was like one of the first things over the internet as well, because when the internet's kind of
Yeah. No, I
dormant. That's how old
remember
I
it.
am.
It was coming in over the internet, it was coming in on the news. I remember talking about it at school,
Yeah,
and it was just this big, like, it was awful. And I remember being so humbled by it. And I was like, wow, 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 wow. But headline is, we're not there anymore.
yeah.
And I actually
A long way.
wholeheartedly believe, I mean, she did such good work putting herself in the public eye, because without her doing that, we'd be in a very different place. I don't think if she'd done that work, I would have felt comfortable enough to go into children's entertainment in when I was doing my pantos. I got no negative feedback from any children at all,
No, because they won't. They just ask a question, you answer
because
it,
they don't
and then
care.
they're
They
fine.
don't care. I got random 14-year-olds calling me a loser, but that's different.
Mm.
That's actually incredibly. I'm like, I was like, they may be calling me a loser and swearing at me, but you know what they're not saying? Ableist slurs. So
You win
where's the
some.
win? Yeah, 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 yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you know, if there's 7-year-olds asking the right kind of questions, I'm like, this is for something. And her doing that on, even though it's, I'm sure, like the hardest thing ever. I've not spoken to her, so I've got no idea if it was the hardest thing for her. But knowing that she did so much groundwork there for the people, for kids like me who saw that and thought maybe I could be on the telly.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And like, not to get too soppy, but now you're doing that for the next generation. So I want you to
Hope so.
look that up
Yeah,
to you.
manifest I don't get all the hate, but
No.
we'll see.
And if you need someone to take the wheel in your DMs, then just shout.
I'm like, please have my Instagram password to go through my DMs because I can't go. I can't
No,
cope now, and they're my actual real friends.
that's a whole different topic. I'm
Yeah,
like that too.
yeah. On that note, the fact
I
that
love all
I
my
can't,
friends.
I can't go through, I can't answer even my friends because I'm in such a technology like hellhole because I can't deal with my phone anymore. But hey,
That's it. Put it down. Soak up what's occurring right now that's top secret. And then yeah, I'd love to get you back on when it's all
amazing.
done.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks for having me.
thank you. Thank you so much for like chatting with me and sharing your journey.